I had to laugh because one of your listeners, our listeners, this guy's called No One in Particular, 7264. I think I sent it to
Right.
you. And he said, and he is kind of, it's a joke this, but it is really plotting out what's happening. So he said, I was planning, thank you very much, No One in Particular, 7264, by the way. I was planning on going to the library nearly every day to keep warm. Unfortunately, if he takes our bus passes too, that's that plan thwarted. So, and then he says, step 1, winter heating. Step 2, bus passes. Step 3, prescriptions. Step 4, council tax 25% discount. And step 5, Soylent Green. Now, our viewers may not know what Soylent Green is, but Soylent Green is a film made in the 70s, I think, with with Charlton Heston and Edward G. Robinson. And basically it's a dystopian future film. And everybody survives by eating these little tablets of green protein called Soylent Green, you see. So Edward G. Robinson, do you know who Edward G. Robinson is? He was a very famous gangster actor, but he's an old man in this one. Anyway, they don't have enough food to survive, and Charlton Heston's trying to make food for them. So in the end, Edward G. So there's a euthanasia place where all the old people go to when they get beyond their useful life, basically. Similar. So all this stuff is actually is coming true. So Edward G. Robinson realizes they can't feed themselves, so he goes off to the euthanasia place. But Charlton Heston chases after him. I'm giving the plot away, by the way, but it doesn't matter because it's a really old film. Charlton Heston chases after him to try and persuade him to stop. Anyway, he doesn't manage to get hold of him, and Edward G. Robinson ends up going into this euthanasia, and he tries to follow him, and it ends up that all the old people are going into this factory and being made into Soylent Green. And that's how they're feeding the population, by killing old people and making them into food for the rest. So this guy's saying this is what's happening. But if you look at what he's saying is going to happen, it's actually happening. They're taking the winter heating. They're talking about getting rid of bus passes. They're talking about taking away the council tax discounts as well. So they're actually doing all these things to old people. But why? This is the insanity of it. These things cannot be that expensive or that big in the budget, but they're doing them anyway, aren't they?
If I was a conspiracy theorist, which I'm not, I would say that's a great plan if you wanted to reduce waiting lists at the NHS and fix the NHS.
Yes, yeah.
Call all the old people.
Yeah. But they've already had a go at that with COVID, haven't they? They've already slaughtered loads of old people with COVID.
And they've looked at the stats and they've went, that worked, didn't it? Look how much we're spending now on elderly care and this and that. That worked. What can we do? They ain't doing that for those reasons. Why are they doing it? I have no idea, because they've got so many choices. A tough decision is when you feel you've got no other option to do. And the winter fuel allowance costs $1.5 billion a year. We've just given Ukraine last week another $3 billion. There's 2 years' money. We're giving Africa $12 billion to tackle African climate change.
Joking.
No. So
12 billion.
12 billion. So there's 15 billion. There's a decade of the winter fuel allowance.
Yeah.
So, and then you're looking at prisons again. Why are we letting them out when we can just deport them all and that's the end of that? There's easy solutions for some of these problems, but we won't take them because they're ideologically driven, as in, well, we can't deport foreign criminals, that's racist. We've got to give Ukraine money. We've got to save Africa from the sun, because they were a lot happier in the Ice Age. So the sun's bad for Africa. And there's always choices. And they're making the right choices for them and their party, so they think. But no one else in the country can figure out why they're doing any of this.
There is one theory I've seen floating around, and it may make sense, is that a lot of pensioners voted for Brexit, and this is punishment. This is kind of, because you didn't toe the line on the referendum, this is what you're going to get, basically, you old sods.
I partly agree with that, but not for that reason. So if you want to be cynical, you look at who are the people voting, not voting for Labour or voting for Labour. Ethnic minorities heavily vote for Labour. So why are we deporting ethnic minorities? They might not be able to vote themselves because they're foreign nationals, but that sends a message out to all ethnic minorities that we're not on their side and we need them to stay in power. Old people tend to vote Conservative or Brexit Party.
Yeah.
They're no use to us. Some of them will vote Labour, but the majority of them don't. So therefore, that's a group of people we can afford to upset. So a lot of this, some of this will be tactical.
But that's horrific, isn't it?
They all do it. All governments do it.
And this is about the Labour Party, isn't it? Moving away from its core voting base and sitting around in Islington saying, aren't old people dreadful? They all vote Conservative and Brexit. You know, look at those awful right-wing thugs out there. It's terrible. We need to punish them. This is what we're going to do. You know, it's just, you can imagine the conversations going.
That's been going on for decades. That's been going on since the 90s. Those conversations within Labour.
Yeah.
Labour abandoned the working class in the 90s. Did you enjoy that video? I think you did. Come on now, hit that bell, subscribe, comment. Let's build this channel. I need more followers. I need more subscribers. Be part of the journey. See you soon.